began to disperse, something unexpected happened. The Los Angeles Dodgers made an emergency announcement. Manager Dave Roberts appeared before the media, his face showing visible strain and exhaustion. His voice was steady, but his words carried a weight that immediately silenced the room. The surgery results for Shohei Ohtani had been officially announced, and what the doctors discovered during the procedure was described in shocking terms. It was the complete opposite of what we imagined. This was not just simple knee inflammation. An unexpected problem had emerged during surgery, something that no one on the medical team had anticipated. And in response to this devastating discovery, the Dodgers' general manager made a shocking decision that has now sent shockwaves through the entire baseball world and left the organization facing one of the most difficult moments in franchise history. The days leading up to the home run derby had been filled with both excitement and concern. Shohei Ohtani had been dealing with knee issues for several weeks, but he had insisted on participating in the derby, viewing it as an opportunity to represent his team, his fans, and the game he loves. The Dodgers' medical staff had cleared him to participate, believing that his condition was manageable and that with proper rest and treatment following the event, he would be able to continue his season without major complications. Ohtani's performance in the home run derby was spectacular. He launched towering home runs that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The crowd chanted his name. His teammates cheered from the dugout. And for a brief moment, all the concerns about his knee seemed to fade into the background. But beneath the surface, something far more serious was happening. Every swing placed tremendous stress on his compromised knee. Every explosive rotation of his hips sent shockwaves through damaged tissue that was barely holding together. Immediately following the derby, Ohtani was scheduled to undergo a previously planned surgical procedure. The plan was straightforward: drain the excess fluid from his knee, assess the inflammation, and perform minor repairs to help him return to full strength as quickly as possible. The surgery was expected to be routine. The recovery timeline was projected to be short. Everyone involved believed that within a few weeks, Ohtani would be back on the field, performing at the elite level that had made him a legend. But when the surgeons opened up Ohtani's knee and began the procedure, what they found was the complete opposite of what they had imagined. Less than 2 hours after the final out of the home run derby, the Los Angeles Dodgers issued an emergency statement announcing that a press conference would be held immediately. The timing was unusual and alarming. Press conferences of this nature are typically scheduled well in advance and follow a structured format. But this announcement came suddenly, with little warning, and the tone of the message suggested that something serious had occurred. Manager Dave Roberts entered the press room looking visibly shaken. He was accompanied by members of the Dodgers medical staff and front office personnel. The atmosphere in the room was tense and heavy. Reporters who had been celebrating just moments earlier now sat in silence, their cameras focused on Roberts as he approached the microphone. Roberts began by thanking everyone for attending on short notice. He acknowledged that the timing of the announcement was unexpected, but he emphasized that the situation required immediate transparency and communication. He stated that Shohei Ohtani had just completed his scheduled surgery and that the results had revealed information that the organization needed to share with the public as soon as possible. The room remained silent. Every word Roberts spoke was carefully measured, but the emotion behind them was unmistakable. This was not a routine injury update. This was something far more serious. Dave Roberts took a deep breath before continuing. He explained that the surgical team had entered the procedure with a clear understanding of what they expected to find based on previous imaging and diagnostic tests. The plan had been to address what was believed to be moderate inflammation and minor cartilage irritation. But the moment the surgeons began examining the interior of Ohtani's knee, they realized that the actual condition was drastically different from what all the tests had indicated. Roberts paused, his voice catching slightly as he spoke. He said that the doctors had discovered extensive structural damage that went far beyond simple inflammation. The cartilage was not just irritated, it was severely degraded in multiple areas. The ligaments showed signs of chronic stress and microtears that had been developing over an extended period of time. And most concerning of all, there was evidence of bone-on-bone contact in certain parts of the joint, a condition that typically occurs in much older athletes or in cases of severe degenerative injury. The medical team described the discovery by saying, "It was the complete opposite of what we imagined. They had prepared for a relatively minor procedure. Instead, They were confronted with damage that would require a complete reevaluation of Ohtani's treatment plan, his recovery timeline, and potentially his entire future in professional baseball. Roberts struggled to maintain his composure as he delivered the news. He acknowledged that this was devastating information not just for Ohtani but for the entire Dodgers organization and for baseball fans everywhere. He emphasized that Ohtani had given everything he had to his team and to the game, often playing through pain that would have sidelined most other players. But the cost of that sacrifice was now becoming painfully clear. One of the lead surgeons who performed the procedure also spoke during the press conference. Dr. Neil Elatrash, one of the most respected orthopedic surgeons in sports medicine, explained in technical but accessible terms what the surgical team had encountered. He stated that all pre-surgery imaging, including MRIs and CT scans, had suggested that Ohtani's knee issues were primarily related to inflammation and fluid buildup. These are common issues for athletes who play at a high level and can usually be managed with rest, medication, and minor surgical intervention. However, once the surgical team was able to directly visualize the interior of the knee joint, they discovered a reality that was far more complex and concerning. Dr. Elatrash explained that the cartilage damage was not localized to one area but was instead spread across multiple sections of the joint. The pattern of damage suggested that Ohtani had been compensating for pain and instability for much longer than anyone had realized, possibly for months or even longer. This compensation had caused him to alter his mechanics in subtle ways, which in turn placed abnormal stress on other parts of the knee, creating a cascade of deteriorating conditions. He also revealed that there were signs of early-stage osteoarthritis, a degenerative condition that typically develops over many years. The presence of this condition in an athlete as young as Ohtani was highly unusual and suggested that the cumulative stress of his unique dual-role career, both pitching